Hey everybody, welcome to our first webinar here with the Flexible License team here, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
super cool.
Should we do some quick
What?
intros before we jump in?
Yeah, perfect. Hey, Patricia. I've prepared a couple of slides. My name is Francine Fisher, and I work with the open source consulting team, as you can see from my little logo here. And we've got Alex and Fabian, but we'll let them do a proper introduction of themselves. I have a tiny little slide deck that, maybe we should wait for, well, I'll share it and then we'll close that off and open up the PowerPoint if we can do it correctly. Always
No
so
worries.
much fun. So much fun. There we are.
And we're
Yay.
getting kudos for your amazing designer that made all these backgrounds.
It's me
Yeah.
and
Thank you. Thank you.
ChatGPT.
You in chat.
Well, I have to say, Hayne is the person who created Oski, and she is absolutely brilliant. And then these little fun ones were based upon her character. So Hayne is one of our colleagues in the marketing team and the design team, and she is just stunning, just absolutely stunning. So I'm just seeing people come in still, and maybe wait just a moment or two, or maybe we could kick off, Alex, with the so actually let me do this. I'm a little bit excited. Before I go to the Alex's introduction, we have a poll that I'm going to start in a few minutes that you're very welcome to fill in. Greatly appreciate all of your responses. We will have a raffle at the end of the webinar, and two lucky people will be chosen at random with a web tool that has your name in it already for a 25 US dollar equivalent voucher, probably from Amazon, because that's
And it can't be
easiest.
Fabian or me, right?
It cannot be you or Fabian or anyone that we know. That is true. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And then we have a special offer at the very end as well for people that are looking at migration. So that's my intro. I'd love to hand over to you, Alex. And once again, thank you for everything, Alex, that you have done so far, and for helping us host this fabulous admin insight to 3 must-do checks.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you so much for the invitation and the opportunity to speak with people on some things that I think are going to be very personal to me. As I'm very excited for this webinar, as we get into it, I'm going to be able to share some stories from the trenches, if you will, that really affected my life. And I think had I known about flexible user licensing a few years ago, it would have drastically have changed my life as an administrator. So I'm very excited to get into it today. And as Francine mentioned, I spend a lot of time working with admins across all kinds of different environments. So this is probably going to be like a really, really fun session where I can share real stories with from real like scenarios that I've been in where I think a lot of people are going to empathize with the use cases here and the three must-do checklist items that we're going to be talking about. And yeah, so I think that's all I had really to to kind of start up me off. I'm sure we're going to get it deep into it throughout the
Oh,
webinar.
thank you, Alex. Okay, Fabian. Fabian and I have known each other since October last year when we met in Barcelona, thanks to a brain date that my lovely colleague Hazel set up. And we have been able to communicate quite well, I feel, for the past, since October. And Fabian is the resident expert outside of our company at this point in time. Fabian, may I hand over to you?
Yeah. Thank you, Francine. Yeah, like you said, I'm very happy that we met in Barcelona at Team 25. I'm more like from the customer perspective. I searched for like some answers to many questions I had before, which are regarding licensing and how you can manage it responsible. And yeah, currently I'm the Atlassian platform owner in a retail company in Germany, located in Germany, and I have to administrate everything on my own. And so, yeah, I'm happy to share some experiences with the Flexible User License app with you.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. I will stop my little PowerPoint and hand over to you, Alex, for an intro as to why we put this session together, why has it's been a thing, a theme in your life for the past number of years, and then we can hand over to you, Fabian, for the real. This is how you can
Real part.
automate, because that's the most important thing. You can do all of this yourself, of course. You can do it manually. You can script. But when you automate, it's much more fun and you get a lot more free time and you can do things that you probably need to do a little bit more than the manual cleanup. So over to you, Alex.
Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna open it up with the little line from Top Gun Maverick, where their commander is asking the captain why he's still a captain in the Air Force after so many years of being in the Air Force. And his line is, that is life's greatest mystery. And I want to associate user management in the world of Atlassian with Atlassian's greatest mystery because it's probably one of the most complex things in the Atlassian ecosystem where understanding who gets a license, how users get a license, how long they're using the licenses for, it's just so mysterious. And then it gets even more complex when you jump into the enterprise world where things just get even crazier from that perspective. So I've been in a long time administrator for many, many years, but the pattern is very consistent across all the different environments that I'm in. Most of the teams that I work with, users just come in, right? And Atlassian makes it so simple for users to just be added, right? They as you're creating a new space, they say, "Hey, invite your team." But that secretly means let's hand out licenses, right? It's so convenient to just invite your team, not knowing that. I mean, I can't expect my scrum masters or my project managers to know who does or doesn't have a license on their team, right? This is mainly information that Jira administrators have privilege to, but it's just, again, so simple when you're creating a new space to just invite your team. Or maybe you share a link to a bug, a critical bug, and then you just start typing people's names in and it says invite friend or invite your colleague. Of course, why not? I need to, right? But from an administrative perspective, that starts really increasing our Atlassian bills. And it starts creating these environments where we have an influx of people coming in. They use the tool once or twice, but then we're on the hook every 30 days to pay for that license, whether they're using it or not. And I think one of these pain points is just having to do a cleanup that usually is very manual. So we're going to jump into a pretty cool tool that I think a lot of companies should be checking out because everything we're going to show you can definitely be done very manually. I personally got carpal tunnel once, and I even have a picture of me like all banded up from all the clicking I did. I had 65,000 users that I would have to clean up through every single 30 days. And just the clicking, and Atlassian doesn't make it any easy to go through 65,000 users. It was just an administrative nightmare. So I'm happy to be here and kind of talk through some of the options that we have and share some again some of those horror stories from the trenches. Hopefully, Fabian, you're ready to go, so we can jump into the tool.
Yeah,
I
I'm
like
ready
this.
to go. Thank you.
Stefan says it's like Hotel California. Once you can check in, but you can never check out.
Yeah. So let me show how I handled that situation. What I can say before. Um, yeah, I created a simple rule based on inactivity first. And for example, like I wanted to remove the access after a certain amount of time of no login. As simple as it sounds, it's harder to achieve actually. And
Yeah.
instead of
I mean, you can do it
manually,
manually, right? You can go through each user and it's going to
oh
tell you the
yeah,
last active date, but to automate it, it's a little tricky. And
yes,
just
and
before we jump into it real quick, we want to do
yeah.
these cleanups at least once every 30 days. And that magical number of 30 days because Atlassian tends to bill you every 30 days. If you're on the manual plan or the manual subscription, right? So sorry, monthly subscription. So you want to make sure you're doing your cleanup right before Atlassian's going to bill you for those inactive users.
Yeah, at least that's a maximum, I think. But we will see. It's a lot easier than we think. What I had in my mind first when I didn't know the app was like, okay, I have some developers on my side in my company, or I have like partners who have developers too. They should have a good and simple solution, like making a script for me. Together with me, I have like the standards. I was able to do a bit scripting too, and yeah, so we have the solution for it and just run it. And as it, I didn't expect that, but it worked not fine all the day. We had to re-meet every time, like for weeks and for months, and we had like a very bad solution for this because it didn't catch all the users. And yeah, so let me show how I handled this problem now. Let me share my screen so you can see it. I think that's the right one. So you can see my screen now. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. We see Jira.
So I am here now in like the instance for testing, just for you to know. And here we can see flexible user license. Let me click it. So yeah, you can see it here. So when you go here, you can see like the monitoring and manage licenses and manage users and groups. And when you go there the first time, you have to add an APA key and APA token. That's really easy. You can ask for, if you are not an admin, but I think here are the most of us admins, you're actually in the instance. You need an org admin to do the APA key, and then you can start directly. And what you do is you can create a rule. And what did I do? So just for you to know, we had the basic permissions in our instance for Jira and Confluence, but it was difficult to see at a glance who really needed a license and who just had it by default. And what was missing is a clear, consistent way to align all app access with actual usage and responsibilities instead of just relying on static groups. And as you said, Alex, manual clicks or having a bad script. So yeah, what is this? So I made this rule here. You can see it's like when you click here, let me see. When you click here, you can just create a rule. I just say what I wanted to see here. You can just follow these steps. It's really easy. And this is like what you want to do. Okay, what's it for? You can describe it. And I wanted a rule which set my license management in my instance for users who have been inactive for 30 days or more, and then which get deleted by a default access group of the Jira instance. And this is a lot of use case we have here.
And Fabian, if I may, a couple of things for you guys to keep in mind. 30 days, again, is because if you're on monthly billing, you don't want to be paying for users that are inactive or shouldn't be in your Jira. And it's just going to help you manage that. However, you should check with your security team. You might have internal policies. I've worked with companies that had like a 90-day retention period. So you may have to keep it 90 days. If you're on the annual billing, then you might do this once a year, right? But you should be working with your team to figure out what's the right sweet spot for how often you should be running the rule. We're just going to use that 30-day example because, again, most of the team I work with, they're on monthly billing, so they're going to be doing this every 30 days.
Yeah, just for you to know, when you use the app, I wanted to run the app every day, like every working day. I have it from Monday to Friday. I have it in my instance too. So if a user gets like deleted, you have like tomorrow the next chance and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. First, I had a bit doubt that it's gonna be a performance killer, but it's not actually, because it's not for in the automations of Jira, and it works on itself, and I had no problems with it. Just to see, we get more into it now, but just to see here, I have the license revocation condition is 30 days ago, and here we have like the access groups. Which access group do I have? That's the default, like Jira software users. And you can say here, for example, if you want to have more. Here are some others like administrators, site admins, or any group you want to have. You can delete it. You can just do the software users and then go to next, and
the
update.
software users ones makes it simple because by default, out of the box, everybody's automatically added to that group. Now, if you did go a little off script, right? If you made your own custom groups, or maybe you're using some different methodology, you want to put the right group that's going to have the right users in it. But out of the box, most users are going to be in that Jira users group. The other thing that I'm going to call out here is that there's a checkbox here for includes users who have never been active. I think this is usually a mind-blown thing for people because a lot of people don't understand that when you invite somebody to join Jira, even if they never log in, you're still paying for them. And this is just like one of those things where like, are you kidding me? Like I'm paying for people that I invited maybe 6 months ago and they never actually accepted the invite. But every single month, every 30 days, I'm paying for that person to just have an invite sitting in their mailbox. But yeah, that's how Jira billing works. And so this checkbox right there is very, very important because it's going to clean up a lot of these invited users that, again, sometimes the Jira administrator doesn't have control over who gets invited, right? Because depending on your configuration settings, you might have it open so that anybody can invite anybody else. And so it's very easy and very, I'm trying to find the right word because it's careless is not the right word, but Atlassian makes it so you can be very, very careless and accidentally invite a lot of people. But again, it's not the right word because careless, I feel like, has a negative connotation, but it's too easy to accidentally invite people and not know.
Alex, maybe it's very inclusive.
Yes. Well, I always tell people, right? Atlassian's in the business of making money. And so they just want to make it easy for you to invite people.
Yeah, so this app is like, we can see it's not from Atlassian, and we see they solved the problem to just have a little button here, and which includes removes all users who have no activity history first. I had this problem personally when I was developing a script together with the developing team, and they said, okay, no problem, but you don't have activity history when you are inviting someone. And we had so many invitations, and then the script doesn't catch these users. And we had that problem too, actually. And now, the first time I can really say I was so happy to see how many people were cleaned up on my instance. It was like hundreds of users who were like immediately cleaned up. And then you can see better, like it's very constant, and you see, okay, it's getting more stable, and yeah.
Yeah. And one additional nugget of information of significant value that I want to give you guys, even if you're on the annual billing where you only do your licensing once a year or you're paying for your bill once a year, Atlassian, when you do go to annual, forces you to pre-buy all your seats. Okay. And so let's just say you're 300 users, right? Well, if you need 5 more seats, well, you don't get to go up to 305. You have to go to 400, right? Because after a certain point, Atlassian starts giving them to you in increments of 100, then 200, then 250. And so you're buying bigger buckets. And again, these invited users, they're going to take up a seat, and you should still clean up your users, even if you are on annual billing at least 30 days, because this will prevent you from having to go up to the next user tier in annual, because you can just play with the numbers you do have. So many people just don't know that they have a lot of inactive users, and they think they need to go up to the next tier, but they just don't have to, right? They can do some cleanup like this.
Yes, that's really, really good to know. And what I wanted to show you too, it's that you have access groups directly. You can see them on the app when you go to the summary. It's like the first page. You land when you open the app, and you see how many users in this group are using have a license like now. And yeah, here it's not so many people, and you can see how many external users, like external domains, which are not grabbed from the authentication are here inside, and this is really nice. And yeah, it's a really easy way to do the audits. But I think that's another point, Alex, you want to show us first, like the main situation, and I can say how I was solving this.
Yeah.
Fabian, can I quickly ask you, are you
Yeah.
using an IDP, either Okta or Entra ID,
Yes, we are using Entra ID. Yeah,
and it works? I take it works
it
easily,
works.
well.
Yeah, it works very easy. With this, we have like synchronization. I think it's more or less like 4 times a day or 3 times a day synchronization, and it. I checked it too. If it's showing me the right external and internal users which are using Jira manually on the org admin platform, and it's like that. Yeah, it's really up to date, and you can see it quite fast because sometimes I don't know if you have seen this or noticed it, that Atlassian platform and the user usage is not always on time, and I was very happy to see it that it's changing so fastly in flexible user license on the app, that it's quite direct. And yeah,
Yeah. So that's really good news because I would say half the teams I work with use Guard and the other half don't. This is obviously going to have way more impact and effect on folks that are not on Guard because this is a very, very manual process if you're not on Guard. But with Guard, you are paying, it's not free, right? It is a little bit more expensive. So Guard does give you a couple things, but it's still, I was on Guard and you still have to do your user cleanup, right? And then one thing that we haven't really called out was there's one thing between user cleanup, like disabling or removing a user, and there's another thing entirely where we're just removing licenses, not necessarily site access, but just the Jira license or the Confluence license from a user. And so there's still a user that exists, right? So Guard's still going to be doing our provisioning and authentication from that perspective. But we may want to toggle just which licenses those users have on or off. And this just makes it way easier because again, the alternative is you go through one through each user, right? And then remove them because most of the teams that I work with, believe it or not, even if they are using Guard, they don't use Guard to like the full potential that allows you to call out the groups within your Active Directory and then push those users in within that group that is automatically going to give them the license. I think a lot of teams usually don't opt in for that path. So again, being able to use something like this is going to help manage those licenses. There was another thing that I wanted to call out here, just one other little tidbit, right? Because you can do all this stuff manually, folks, but when you have hundreds and hundreds of users, if not thousands of users, Jira would show you like 20 at a time. So as you're going through and you're removing five, maybe 10 users from a particular page, when you go to page two, some magical phenomenon happens where the list gets shifted. And so your page two doesn't actually start off where your last page one took off because you just removed 5 or 10 users from the first page. So things got shifted. So I would go after like 75 pages, right? I would circle back and go, oh boy, I missed a few because the caching and the refreshing, it was making me miss users. So even though I was going through all my lists diligently, and trust me, folks, when I tell you that at one point, 2025, 2026, March 31st, 2025, March 31st, 2026, they all start looking the same to you after you're doing this for 2 hours, right? It is just very
yeah,
error prone, right? It is very, very error prone, and it's not something you want to go through. Even if you're careful, right? Even if you're diligent and you're paying special attention, things are going to slip through the cracks. And Jira gets more expensive by the year, right? Every year we're seeing 5, 10, sometimes 15% increases on licensing. So these mistakes kind of bundle up on you. So yeah, Fabian, I think that'll kind of wrap up point number one, which is clean up your users at least minimum every 30 days to avoid increased or sudden increased bills. Okay. We're going to jump over to a scenario number two, which is controlling of your org admins. But I kind of just want to talk about admins in general. It to do some of the integrations, right? To connect Jira with another tool, you sometimes need to get two administrators to play nicely together. And in the situation and the scenarios that I've been in, Corporate politics aside, right? But there's rules. There's rules in place, right? There's always cybersecurity rules in place. And what I've had to do in the past is I, as the Jira administrator, cannot be added to another application, right? Regardless of the reason, right? But there's usually some hoops that I, as the administrator that have the full org admin in Jira or Atlassian, I cannot simply be added to this other third-party tool that we're doing. But what I've done in the past is I'm like, well, let me give you temporary admin rights to the Atlassian world because that's a little bit easier of a lift, right? And I'll monitor, right? I'm watching the user. We're doing the API integration. We're doing tokens, whatever we got to do there, right? But we'll get the connection established. But in the world of IT, nothing is ever as easy as you would wish. And even with great documentation, you sometimes will, most likely will, go down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out why is this technically not working. Something that should have taken 20 minutes turns into a week, 2 week long task. And before you know it, you're just celebrating the victory that you got the two tools to integrate with each other and you completely forget to go clean up your temporary admins that we created, right? So this creates a problem, right? Because you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen and you want the most minimal amount of administrators possible. So Fabian, why don't we go and take a look at a scenario where how can we clean up our administrators a little bit easier than to do it manually again? Because you will forget.
Yeah. I had the same situation actually when I first started in my role as Atlassian platform owner at the new company, which is some time ago. There was a surprising high number of users across various departments with admin access to different instances and so many apps for Atlassian and even the organization itself, the admin role. And this led to a lot of confusion and instability, as you can imagine, making it hard to maintain a consistent control. Recognizing the risk, I immediately reached out of the department leads and worked to reduce the admin group manually first as much as possible, bring much needed order and clarity to the process. But let's talk about instance admins and how to control them and org admins too. And I'll show you how we approach that with the app. Let me share my
Let's
screen
jump in.
again. Yeah. Yeah, I defined another rule in the app, which is called admin cleanup, because I want to catch all the admins. And what did I do here? So I want to define a rule who can have Jira or org admin access and ensure that it stays limited again. The key is that it's not manually managed, it's policy driven here, and you can see, okay, what scope do I have? Okay, the user scope, here you can do what I did do the last time was all users, and okay, I had all users in this group. So, but here you can say I want a selected group. So you can choose every group you want. It was the last time, I think it was administrators. This is the access group. This can be like the administrators. You have to see it. It has to be this can be the group for like the Jira admins, or even it can be a group for like org admins. I have in my own organization of Atlassian, I have a group for site admins, for example, and you could do it inside here too. And then you have the scope. So you go further and you say, okay, what do I want to do here? And you can say last active for administrators. Maybe you can say, yeah, maybe when it's like 60 days, you can say, for example, like this, just for like an example. But the important part and very, very good to know is how to revoke a license. And you say, remove user from selected access groups. And you can say, for example, as I said, like site admins, administrators, here you can say, different access groups, and you can say, okay, I want to kick them out and that they won't have this group. So again, so first, just to be clear, I said, okay, which group I want to have in this range, which is the range, the scope of the automation. I can say it's all users too, but yeah, if I know like, okay, these people I want to watch, further and more specifically. And then I want to say these catched users who have like 60 days been inactive get thrown out, like administrators or site admins. And so we have it like, okay, we have a very secure way to say, if you have not a permanent admin, he will be kicked out when he's inactive in this instance. And you can say, okay, let's do this. And you can, as you can see here, you can set the schedule, the date when it's going to start, and if it's going to be continuously, and which days it should run. You can say, okay, for me it's fine like this, or you can say it like just monthly. And this is how I was getting like the administrators, specifically the administrators, kicked out. I don't want to have them anymore.
Now, is this in the right spot to ask you, there's a way to prevent certain users from being removed, like to override the override.
Yes, you can say here. I think it's in this section here. If you don't want to say, okay, I don't want to kick out a certain number of licensed users, I can say, okay, at least have like, for administrators, this is really important. Thank you, Alex. To say, okay, at least we should have like, for example, I say 5 administrators. And then when this mark is reached, it won't eliminate all administrators. So this is a very important part to say. That we can have at least 5 administrators.
Because sometimes I have administrators that are like the VP of engineering or something, and they're just not logging in to Jira every time. And so as long as we're within our threshold, we can keep them on. But I thought there was also a way to maybe even call out like, hey, leave these users alone because they should always have a license.
Yeah, and what I can recommend really is not having a large amount of administrators in an instance, because it makes so much trouble if you have like if you're not working very close to with each other, and if many cooks making the soup, it's not tasty.
Yeah,
I
no,
think,
definitely.
Alex, are you referring maybe to the protected users, the
Yeah,
excluded?
the protected users is what I was trying to fish for.
We didn't practice that one, Fabian. I don't know if you've set that up or not. Do you know, Fabian, if you've set that up, the excluded users?
Just show me so you maybe I can say something about this. Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, no worries.
I'll give
Go
Fabian
ahead.
some time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one very, very important use case, right? And I ran into this problem a lot where I am the senior administrator. So it's my responsibility to kind of know everybody. But even in like a 10,000 person company, it's almost impossible. Maybe in a 100, 200, maybe 300 person company, you can know everybody. But even then, that's kind of pushing it, right? But the scenario that I was in, right, I had 65,000 users, about 5 or 6,000 actual Jira licenses. And my team was stingy. They didn't want to buy extra licenses. We clearly had way more users than we had licenses. So we were always playing this game of musical chairs to clean up those inactive users and only give it to the new people, right? However, I always had the CIO, the CTO, right? These individuals that needed to come into Jira every once in a blue moon. But my direct reports, right? My team that worked because folks, once I got carpal tunnel, I learned to stop clicking so many times, right? I let the rest of my team handle the manual user cleanup, and I'm like, okay, you're all in charge of doing this because I'm not gonna go do this again, right? But the problem I ran into is they don't know who the important people in your organization are. So what ended up happening more times than I would have cared to count was they kept removing the important people. And I kept, because I'm responsible, I kept getting angry emails from my managers going, why does the CIO not have a license? Why does the CTO not have a license? And responding with, well, because they haven't logged into Jira is not the right answer. Ask me how I know this.
Yes. Now I know what you do, what you mean. Let me show you on my screen how I did this. I had exactly the same situation. I was so happy that I had now I have a rule which is cleaning up every so fine, and like the CIO was saying like I have no I have no access
Zero license.
to the
Yeah.
instance and what's going on. And I was like, oh, that's because you are not you are not active. And yeah, this should not happen because sometimes they have to go inside. They have like some review meetings, for example, or something like this. And they get a link, maybe in a team lead, or there are certain users who are like who have like to be sometime not be touched because of this rule is running. And yeah, I had the same
Scenario.
situation. Let me show
Yeah.
you the same scenario and let me see it. Okay. If you go here I have my rules like we did before, like the admin cleanup and the license management rule, which is for everyone. You can see here, exclude users and groups. And you can
Yeah.
say
And so
here,
this,
okay, yeah,
yeah, this is super handy, right? Don't kick these people out. During all the cleanup rules that we've made up, leave these people alone. We don't want to touch these people,
yes,
regardless if they
exactly.
haven't logged in or not.
You can say, okay, I'm going to add them or add the group or the users you don't want to have, like you can add them to. Just put it like this and inside. Or if you want to have it like, okay, you can create an own group in Jira, like for when you go to details, see, okay, you have to be org admin to do this, to get in the directory and the groups, and you can say, okay, I'm adding these users, like do not touch, maybe this is a good name for this, and just add them. And then you don't have a long list to see here, like 15 users. You just have, okay, do not touch group or something like this. And yeah, it's not a lot of, these are not many people, but very important that they are inside of this group or they are mentioned like personally or just as a user inside of this. And so the rules don't touch these users. And yeah, that's a really good point. And thank you. Yeah, I was close to not remembering it, but yeah, this is very, very important. And I was
Yeah, very,
experiencing
very.
it too. Yeah.
Yep. All right. And in the interest of time, because we're down to the last, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, less than 10 minutes. Let's go into scenario number 3 and tip number 3, which is be audit ready. So a common scenario that I had was at the like on a at any moment, right? Whenever cyber came over, they're like, hey, we need to know a list of all your admins. We need to know a list of all your users. We need to know when's the last time you cleaned up your users. We need to know when's the last time you audited your users. We need to know like this whole laundry list of dates and things of that nature. And I would have to be scrambling because I'm like, well, I did this manually. It's not like I was recording me cleaning up the users. And yeah, there's Jira logs and audit logs, but stuff like it gets a little crazier. But one of the big, huge benefits of flexible user license is that it does the audit readiness for you. So I was hoping maybe you can walk us through what the audit logs look like so that you too can be ready to pass your next audit.
Yeah, let me show it to you. So let me share my screen first. And yeah. So let me show the audit log for a license management app. This is a dedicated log. You have to know it. So you don't need to access your organization-wide audit log to review license management activities. It's here you can find it on the audit log and monitoring, and you see here you can filter it to, you get an export like you know, but it's dedicated. So what can you do with this? You can see exactly what changes are made, when they are made, and why within the license management app. So you see different actions now. Okay, we have like 22 items showing 10 results. Okay, these are just 3 pages, but we can see show more what happened exactly at this point. And I don't want to say, okay, if it's a success, it says the rule went well for this user, for example, in this case. What will be very interesting is if we don't have like success status, you can say there's a partial error. Maybe maybe like a API token is not available again, or like it's something failed because of the rule is not good, or something in the settings is not good. In this case, if we can't see anything, there's a best case for sure. But if something happened and I was experiencing it by myself, I set up the rule just clicking something wrong, and it was like not working because some group it was not existing anymore, and it was not working. And I just had to click there, and yeah, I could fix the rule very, very quickly. And this is a very good audit log. So instead of rebuilding the story during an audit you already have it ready and specific to license management. And it's very good. It's straightforward and focused. And yeah, you can export this information too from the app whenever needed. As you know, it's like an Excel data. But when you do an audit, this is a perfect solution for me, actually for me as a customer, to see, okay, it's working very good and the process is focused.
Thank you so much, Fabian, and thank you, Alex. We've
Yeah, I
got a
think
couple
it's
of
back
minutes
over to you, right,
left.
Francine?
Yeah, no, go ahead if you have a
No,
wrap
no, no. I
up.
think
Okay.
we had a bonus one, but I think we covered it in one of
Yeah,
the other
we
ones.
did.
So I think we are good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a poll that I would like to launch. It's got 8 questions. Would love people's feedback. And then I would like to run the raffle for the vouchers. And so I can do that at the same time. I'm launching the poll as we speak. Hopefully that will pop up for you. And I will now share the information on the raffle with a lovely different new image of, I don't know if I could do it at the same time. One would hope that technology will allow this. Let me share my screen. And here is our lovely OSCE character with the raffle. And I will click on the raffle, and here we are. We can click to spin. This is actually really fun. I'm going to close the ads. And here we go.
Oh, because all we
Don't
see is
get
Oski
dizzy.
doing the raffle. I don't.
Oh, do you
Yeah,
not see the?
no. We just
Okay.
see the raffle picture, which
That's
is
not
quite
very
good too.
helpful. That's not very helpful. All right, let's see. I will stop sharing and I will try again. Gotta love technology. I saw it. It was great.
You got it in your mind. It was perfect.
There we go. All right. How about now?
We do see the wheel.
Yes.
All right. So, Bhargav, one of the vouchers is yours. I'm going to remove you now, and I will do it so at least you get to see. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, it's spinning.
Okay, cool. All right, here we go. And Kristen Kaufman. There we go.
Yeah.
Yay.
Congrats.
Yay!
Yay.
Woo!
Okay. Thank you both very, very much. I'll quickly share with you our special offer. So I need to now share and then the PowerPoint and then share and go. Oh, it's going to do it again. There we go. And let me go to this is just so fun. Gotta love Zoom. Gotta love Zoom. All right. Are you able to see the raffle slide?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's the special offer. Save now. I asked it for a US commercial from 1,000 years ago. So here's the offer. If you're planning a migration from data center to cloud in the future, so you know it's going to happen, we are happy to offer you Jira and Confluence, or one of the two, whichever you prefer, for free up to your migration. So this means that everything that Alex and Fabian shared with you, you will be able to do on your instance for free. And that's the offer. So we'll send you more information and a link and all the things. You can also download the free trial, of course. Here's the bit.ly link if that helps you, but you'll get an email, of course. And I would love, before we go, I want to say thanks to everyone, but Alex, let me stop sharing so that you can share your screen about your upcoming training that you'll be doing
Yes.
in Anaheim.
So, yeah, if you're all coming to team, we are doing a 2-day event. One day is all training, and then the other day is going to be a conference. So think of it like a mini teams. And so if you want to learn how to create Rovo agents, or you just want to go deeper with Rovo and like have a workbook that's step-by-step instructions with a series of instructors, we have Rovo, Forge, project management, and enterprise service management. And so 4 different tracks there that you can take. It's like an all-day thing. And then we have a 2-hour roundtable with 10 of the best administrators in the world where it's like an ask me anything. So nowhere else do I know that you can sit down with 10 of the best admins and ask them literally any question you want. And then we have a dinner plan. And so we're going to feed you 3 times. It's 50% off everything using that code TJL50 there. And then if you don't like, if you're like, hey, I don't want to do full training, but still want to do a conference, the next day, the day of Teams, May 5th in the morning, we're going to be doing 12 sessions here. We're going to be exploring 12 different use cases of how to use the Atlassian tools and a lot of really cool things there. And so that one's only like $47 with the 50% off. It comes out to like 20 something USD. So there's nothing else to do before Team anyways. Like Team starts until late in the afternoon. And so if you want something to do, we'll feed you and come have some fun, hang out with us. And yeah, hope to see you all there.
Thank you, Alex.
Oh,
Thank
and
you, Fabian.
the website's
Oh,
buildittogether.events or scan the QR code.
or take a picture and
Yes.
then upload it to
Yeah,
your
I think
laptop and then
yeah,
scan it from
like
your phone.
a
Or just go to
screenshot.
buildittogether.events. That'll get you
Yeah,
there
yeah,
too.
we talked about this. Like a screenshot would be good too, or some of this.
Yeah.
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 All
We'll
right. Thank
send it
you.
through with the link. Fabian, do you have any last, not necessarily last words, but final words for the webinar?
Yeah, thank you very much for participating. You, Alex, yeah, really nice colleague, and yeah, you sure, Francine, we know each other too. I'm really happy to share my experiences with you. I came from like the same perspective, just as a customer. Many admins out of there who have the same issues or situation like me, and I hope I could help you. And yeah, like it did for me. And thank you very much. I hope we will see each other soon when we have another webinar. Would be very happy for it. And yeah, have a great time. Stay healthy.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.